There, I want to show you my best tricks that I'm actually using right now. 5 of them that are helping me to actually cheat the process of hard economic times we are experiencing in Kenya. And guess what? It's not only in Kenya, but globally, this problem is out there. So stay with me. And by the way, I allow you to steal some of these ideas of mine, incorporate them, and do something about your life. Because if you cannot be able to make a change, then kitaturamba. That's what we say in Kenya. Basically means like, hey, guess what? If you don't adjust somewhere, something might go wrong. All right? So guess what? I'm going to share this information with you for free. Ain't going to charge you a dime. The only thing I want you to do, and doesn't cost you anything, down below there is a like button. Just saying like, hey, Joseph, I appreciate this video, and comment more on the comment section. And don't forget, if you don't want to miss any of my good videos in the future, click that subscription button. I know you've been hearing of me saying subscribe. What does it mean? Okay, fine. There's like a small button down below there, very small one, written subscribe. It is in black. Hit that magical button. If you do that, you get to be notified on YouTube whenever I upload a new good video. Let's get into the business. Now, the very first point now, Joseph, what exactly do you do? Now, this is what I do, okay? Now, the point number one that I usually apply to cheat the hard economic times in Kenya. Number one, what do? I mostly, largely or mainly feed the main or the must-have basket. There was a time I shared with you in life we have 3 baskets. Number one, we have the must-have. These are the things that you cannot do away without. Number 2, I said we have the good to have. And number 3, I said we have the must-have. Go check that video. Now I'm going to talk about all those things. Now, I mostly feed the must-have basket. Right now, as we speak, whether economies go bad, go good, do whatever it's gonna do, we have to eat. We have to have somewhere that we live. And number 3, we have to dress. You can walk naked. All right, those are the 3 things that you cannot negotiate with. Now, right now, what I do mostly is that I do what? I mostly concentrate on those things that I make sure these are the must-have things that I know at the end of the day I ought to have them. And by the way, under the must-have, you can subdivide the must-have because there is a clothing that you can dress that is way expensive. Just get yourself a good amount of, get yourself a quite a presentable, a decent clothing and something also. If it is food, you don't really have to eat each and every outside there. You are eating in hotels, grabbing coffees, going outing and all those kind of things. Hey, guess what? You have to do something. So grab the must-have things. These are the things that you must negotiate. Make sure that your family has eaten. Make sure that if you're living alone, make sure that you've eaten. Make sure that your house rent is paid. And number 3, make sure that at least you're not walking naked. You may not be dressing or the most expensive, brands and clothing and what have you, but at least you are clothed. All right, so that is exactly what I am doing. I mostly feed the must-have things. So once I tick on those boxes, guess what clicks in my mind? The extra, I channel it towards my investment. I channel it towards something somewhere. I don't save it right now because if I save, as we speak, the inflation is way above 6%. So right now, I cannot be able to manage to save because if I save, my money is being eaten away by this amount of money, or rather this amount of inflation. So what do? Once I achieve these basic things, then the extra, not all of it obviously, some of it I channel towards investment, some of it I actually remain in liquid form. I will explain to you later why is that. Okay, let's go to the point number 2. I adjust where possible to do what? To salvage and cover the increment. Let me just give you this trick. This is very important, by the way. This is very important. You know what this means? Right now, as we speak, for example, let's take an example of cooking oil. Cooking oil has actually doubled the price. For example, if you take the average 10 liters cooking oil, okay, the average one, the average common 1-inch one, right now is going at around 2,100 or something, 2,000 or 2,200, around there, right? Used to be 1,100. Literally, the prices has doubled. Now, let me ask a question. Was your salary increased? Nothing. If you're earning maybe let's say 30,000 2 years ago, you're still earning 30,000 2 years ago. And if there is an increment, maybe 3,000, you're earning 3,000 or 33,000. But remember one thing, the price of the cooking oil has actually increased or doubled for your case. The cooking flour, the wheat flour, the maize flour, and what have you, these basic items. Now, what have you done in your life? Or, you see, the reason why most of the people tend to strain in life, okay, something has been increased in terms of the pricing. You yourself, you want to remain or you want to maintain the same lifestyle, the same stature, the same status that you used to have. And you are supposed to adjust to cover up the increment, Two options. I'm going to give you two options. There are two ways of viewing this thing. Number one, you can actually think of how you can create more income extra from other places. But let's be logical. If you do not have money to invest for you to earn more, or if you do not have a skill to disseminate somewhere, be it either online, to earn more, to supplement that what you're getting, no, what do? The very basic thing that you do is you adjust yourself. Let's say before the prices of the cooking oil doubled all the way from 1100 to 22, let's say you are saving 5,000 out of the 30,000. Okay, now you want to maintain still saving the 5,000 out of the 30,000, but you can't do so. Why? Because the prices of products have actually increased. Now, how or what do you do for you to manage to save the similar 5,000 that you used to save before? Slightly adjust. All right, you do what? You slightly what? Adjust. What does it mean? Let's say at the end of the day, maybe let's say you usually buy like 2 liters of cooking oil in a period of 2 weeks. Two options. There are two ways of approaching this. A, you either reduce the quantity that you usually buy in that period of 2 weeks. And how do you exactly do that? You can reduce the quantity of the cooking oil that you usually use on this food that you usually cook and something of sort. Yeah, I know you're like, really? Yeah. As I always tell you, desperate moments usually, or desperate times call for desperate actions. You can adjust to that. Or number two, and by the way, even cooking oil sometimes are not even healthy, but let not those brands to hear me. But anyway, that's a fact anyway. You cannot change the fact. It's a fact. So the point is, you adjust on that area, all right? And then, or option two, you can adjust the frequency so that at least you can do what? For example, let's say in a typical month, you used to go out, let's say 4 times, let's say per week. How about you do 2 times a month? All right, let's say after 2 weeks, you usually go outing. And let's say per week, before the prices skyrocketed, you are using, let's say, 2,000. Means that is 8,000 towards you getting yourself out. Now, instead of you now using the 8,000, you can use the 4,000. You salvage the 4,000, you channel it somewhere. Okay? And now, if I tell you go 2 times, don't go 2 times and each use 4,000, because at the end of the day, you would have salvaged anything. So the point is this, you're supposed to adjust. And let me tell you one secret. For those who know, if there are people who usually possess the characters of being wealthy and rich in life, there are people who have the ability to adjust their lives. So adjust your, if you can be able to check, hey, guess what? I'm taking my kid to a school where I'm paying this amount of money. If I can be able to adjust this and maybe take my kid to still a good and presentable school, but I'm going to save 1, 2, 3, because hey, at the end of the day, the kid needs good school. That's true, good quality education. But at the end of the day, they still need to eat, they still need to dress, they need still to do some entertainment and all those kind of things. So if I can be able to adjust where applicable and where possible, you can be able to adjust yourself on that areas so that you salvage a little bit here, you put it somewhere, you invest that money, and then that money you do this, you do the other. That's the way you do yourself. So the most important thing you can ever do in life, especially when things are actually becoming tougher, is to adjust. So I adjust myself in these areas. Let's say maybe I was eating nyama, let's say you were eating nyama, let's say maybe like 4 times a week. You can just do away with 1 time. You can do 3 times. Now you take that one time that you used to buy to cater for the inflation part, for the increment part. That is exactly how you do it. This may not make sense to some of the people, but at least that is the reality. The other one is that paying things in advance where applicable. Don't forget that part. Where what? Where applicable. And this is the tricky sometimes I usually recommend people. Let's say usually gas refill your place. Maybe you have to refill your gas. You have maybe to pay some things and all those kind of things. This is what I used to do. You take that mtungia gas. Once you refill it back at home, amazing. And this is what I used to realize in life, especially if you are doing this vibarua and what have you. You realize sometimes you do not have money. And exactly when you do not have money, that's when these things actually runs out. So what do? I used to actually identify a place where I used to go and exchange my meko and gas and what have you. Kenyans understand what I'm talking about, all right? Kubadilisha gas, okay? So I used to take like a few coins there. Maybe nifanya shopping, I do some shoppings. I remain with 3,000, or not really 3,000, 300, 200, 100. So I keep on taking to that individual, write me a receipt. By the time I realize I've actually refilled like 2 of them or 1 of them. So whatever it's finished up, I already have. So I just go back, check my receipt, I realize, hey, guess what? I already have a 1 full subscription. So I can just get another one. I get another one. So if you can be able to do that, and this amount of money that you're actually doing this is a money that you actually disregard. You just say, hey, this is 150. What the heck can I do with 150? So that 150 shillings, 200, 300, that's where to channel towards those areas. I also remember I used to also, because I was those guys who did start with me back then, I used to do the interior design, and sometimes job used to be on, off, on, off, on, off. So what I used to do is to exactly, paying the house rent. I used to pay in phases, not postpaid, prepaid. Like, let's say I've cleared my rent today, and then after a week I realized I have like a 2,000 somewhere. I can just give it to my landlady or landlord, and then I realize after some maybe a few days I have another 1,000. I pay them. So by the time another month shows up, I've cleared that month that is coming. I cleared that month that is coming. That month that, because you realize, I used to see one thing. The moment that is end month, when you're supposed to pay your rent, you're running out of cash. And maybe let's say 2 weeks ago you had some money, you're actually enjoying yourself, you're throwing parties and all those kind of things. So if it is possible for you to actually pay things in advance, that is the most important thing. Most likely you're likely to get the best deals. By the way, have you ever realized, even I usually say, if you want to buy a phone before it's actually rolled out, you can buy it before it actually shows up in the market, and you're likely to get yourself the best deals that is out there, and some of the discounts and what have you. Okay, no, that's the point. So if it is applicable, that's why I said where applicable. See, you cannot eat in advance, okay? You can't eat in advance. So one thing that I'm supposed to do is that where applicable, do so. And I always tell people, if you cannot be able to adjust yourself in these areas and as well do things in advance, you might get yourself into problems. I remember I even used to pay the kina mama mboga in advance, because I knew, hey, like I usually use a vegetable worth like 1,000 bob in a month or something, or let's say 500 or something. So I used to know, okay, fine. If I take this 500 of mine, I give that mama mboga, I know this month I'm covered. Done. So if the mama mboga eats my money, I don't care. They'll just have to show me where they will get me the mbogas and what have you and vegetables. So these are small things, but they can actually transform and change the way you are actually handling your money and all those kind of things. All right? Because some people telling me, hey, Joseph, I can do the shopping about cooking flour and all those kind of, but I can't do vegetables. Go pay where I usually buy those vegetables. Pay them in advance. Let them stay with their money. So you show up. Then you have yourself a book somewhere, and then you come. It may seem as if it is tedious, but guess what? I said what? It's desperate times usually call for what? Desperate actions. You keep on ticking so that at least you don't confuse each other and all those kind of things. All right? That's it. That's how you do your things. Okay? That's point number 3. Let's go to point number 4. Point number 4 is that shelving royalty and compare prices to actually do what? Get the better deals. You see, there is this kasumba, or this issue of guys being loyal to a certain place. I usually shop in a certain place. And I came to realize one thing. The moment you become a loyal customer somewhere, I came to realize one thing, is that people sometimes tend to take advantage of you. You're the guy whom you're given that thing, maybe it's going bad, or maybe there is there is a stop somewhere. They tell you, hey, you know what, it's just a small crack, you can just take, because they presume like, hey, you're a royal customer, they know you, you're good, you can't complain and all those kind of things. So the point is this, you might be taken advantage of. And then you realize one thing, whenever there are deals and the discounts are available in that specific shop, you'll never be notified. That's for sure. And this is quite a weird thing, and this is a challenge to the business people. I realized one thing, when I became a quite of a loyal customer to a given a business, then I realized one thing. Whenever there is a discount maybe being offered in that place, I don't get to be notified. It's like the discounts and whatever they are given to the new customers just to win more and more and more, that kind of a thing. So sometimes I always tell people, whenever it comes to money, go beyond friendship. Go beyond actually requesting and also comparing prices and out there. Okay? So it is good to make sure that at least you're getting the best deal on the table. Ever, 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 ever. Don't ever forget that. All right? What exactly do I mean? Don't stick to loyalty of a certain place, and then you're like, hey, I'm royal, I have to do this, I have to be there, this have to be my people, I have to buy this place, buy where a friend sells, and maybe the friend is manipulating you and all those kind of things. Again, don't forget my point. Desperate times call for desperate actions. Or what exactly do you do? Compare prices. Get one place, get the other place, get the other place. Ask, request, inquire, so that at least you know by the time I'm buying this item, I'm actually getting the best deal on the table. Because at the end of the day, if you do not have the power to negotiate, then you might get yourself on the losing end in this world. Don't forget one thing. It's either you are a prey or you are what? A predator. All right? The last one, but not the least, is that are you constantly be attentive? I'm always constantly attentive to grab opportunities that are out there. Don't ever forget this thing. In every storm, there are people who surely benefit out of it, and they're also victims. So choose on what side you would like to be. And how exactly do you do that? For example, they say most of the millionaires and rich people are usually made when we have recession, or right, like what we are experiencing right now. So what does it mean? It means that if you can be able to be attentive out there, listen to the ground, listen to what the people are saying, really listen. And I always tell people, if you would like to know where the money is, listen to what the people are complaining about. If you listen to what they are complaining about, they're complaining because there is no solution. And if you can be able to solve that solution or solve that problem, offer them the solution, attach a price tag on that, then you'll be able to make as much as you can. This may not be practical. This may not make sense to majority of the people, but the reality is the formula has never changed. We're never looking forward them to change, because we usually say money is a reward given after solving someone's problem. So this is my point. Sometimes we realize, hey, there is an increment. Let's say maybe you're anticipating, not really you, but you see, that's why I always tell people, get people who actually can share this good information. Get to people who are in different industries, okay? Get to people who are doing the wholesales in terms of the food. Get people who are doing clothing. Get people who are doing the supply. Get the contact of the farmers and all those kind of things. So if you can listen to what the towns are saying and what the farmers are saying, at that particular point, you fill that gap, join the two, solve the problem, you're going to get the money. That is the formula. That is exactly how you do it. And I always tell people, you're supposed to be aggressive. Meaning, it's not a must that you cling yourself to. Let's say maybe you're in clothing industry, you're selling clothing and what have you, and maybe it is tough right now. But as if you can listen to the ground, you realize, hey, there is something, there's some areas where I can be able to tap. There's something that I can be able to do and be able to earn some cash at the end of the day. So go for that thing, tap those specific regions and be able to make some cash as you progress to the next level. Guess what, guys? That marks the end of my video, but not the end of me posting a video each and every day. So make sure that you subscribe, grab my number on the description of this specific video. Let's conversate, because I'm a believer that you have something as warm that I can learn from. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.